What happened to Brisbane's tram network? Like many Australian cities, Brisbane had quite an extensive tram system. So you can see here it went south down to Salisbury and to Mount Gravatt, out to Belmont, up to Balmoral, and all through the northern and western suburbs up to Chermside, Enoggera, Ashgrove. In fact, many of our major bus lines still follow these routes. Initially, the trams in Brisbane were horse-drawn and then they were electrified. And it is the provision of trams that allowed Brisbane to sprawl. So when they set up these tram systems, being close to the trams, you can see this is an estate in Paddington, 100 yards from the tram. A lot of advertisements like this show that these new subdivisions are walking distance to the tram or near the tram terminus. And it meant that we could have low density housing. We could have detached houses in the form of Queenslanders because people didn't have to walk to work, they could jump on the tram. In the 1960s, trams were increasingly blamed for traffic congestion. So there was a growing number of vehicles on the roads, car registrations had gone up tenfold in a very short period of time, and cars and trams were obviously sharing the same roads. You can see this tram, this is in the 1960s, crossing Victoria Bridge. Then Clem Jones was elected, and in his second term, traffic congestion was the major focus. And in 1962, a fire broke out in the depot in Paddington and burnt down about 20% of the entire fleet. And as I said in my previous video, the Queensland Government and Brisbane City Council employed American town planning consultants to do a transportation plan for Brisbane. Now, in this transportation plan, they recommended a very extensive freeway network, which you can see here, and they also recommended the closure of Brisbane's tram system. Now, remembering this was very fashionable, so in 1962, Sydney had closed its trams, and there was trams closing all around Australia. There was a lot of opposition. Remember, back then, half of all trips were made by tram. Brisbane residents wanted to keep them, and the Tramways Union was getting very active and having these community meetings protesting the closure of the tram network. This was very inconvenient for the Lord Mayor at the time, Clem Jones, who was a member of the Labor Party. In fact, the executive of the Labor Party moved a motion to gag the aldermen, which is like the councillors, they used to call them aldermen. They went to gag the councillors so that they couldn't speak out against the closure of the tram system. The union asked for a referendum to be done for the people of Brisbane to vote on whether they wanted their tram system to be closed. But Clem Jones pushed ahead, and in 1969, the last tram ran. Now, this paper was published by economists at UQ in 1971, and they criticised the methodology of the Wilbur-Smith plan, so the transportation plan, saying that they looked backwards and looked at car registrations, the amount of traffic on the road, and then they simply extrapolated that to 1981 without considering how government could actually influence people's choices of mode of transport. This was the future that they saw for Brisbane.